Okay, I have four short stories here. The first one is called The Memory Machine, dusting off a lifetime of recollections. Writing this memoir of my life has awakened my memory machine. It's been years since I've reached into my memory banks and started withdrawing bits and pieces and turning them into words on this page. Clearing out the cobwebs and knocking off the dust that's been collected. Opening, opening up long lost folders, curious about what's inside. I've probed inside and found the good times as well as the really bad times. I have realized many mistakes that I made along the way, like not pursuing my interest in oil painting. How does the brain store all these memories? Why do some memories stick in your head while others fade away and seemingly locked away forever? Yet, if you see a photograph of Christmas Day with everyone showing their gifts taken from years ago, my brain says, oh, yeah, I remember that. I have found in writing my experiences that I've brought forth memories that I normally don't think about. And as I struggled to rediscover parts of my life, I found that I wished that I had some sort of journal that I could go back and read and awaken these lost memories. Now, later in my life, I did do some journals from time to time with huge gaps in between. Some of the information that in these journals, I've actually included in this paper. Now, if I did a journal, what would I do to help me recall my past? And some simple things, I think. A good example would be the year. What year? What day? Here's an example of what I wrote one time. The year 2015, January 3rd. I worked my 10-hour shift today. Got off at 9 p.m. Sierra will spend the night, and Brandon also. And I'm preparing for a trip to my mother's on Sunday. That was one of my things in my journal. Just simple little facts, like names of people that I knew, places I lived at, places I worked at. Include dates to help me on my timeline. If I just, for example, when I worked at Superior Electric, just write the names of the people I knew who worked there, who I dealt with every day. Some of the names I still remember, but not all. I can't remember all their names, but some of them I do. But if I had that journal, just simple little facts, just a name. I could say something about them, possibly. Some names I can remember their first name. Some I remember their first and last name. Some I don't remember at all. Some of the friends I worked with, Jesse, there's David, Gene. Some names, I have no idea. So, just little simple facts. So, like when I meet someone, for example, where did I go? Who did I date? Just simple little facts. Sure, it'd be better to include more information, But if you just start with the basics, that would really be great. Now, this would really help my memory machine sort things out with more confidence. Some moments, like catchy tunes in my head, stick, while others stay in dusty corners. You know how it is. Sometimes you get this song pop in your head and you just keeps playing over and over again. You don't know why. Have that happen to me all the time. Why am I thinking this song all of a sudden? Maybe my brain wants to entertain itself. I don't know. But I continue. Okay, machine, as I hear the gears turning. What was the name of that song I liked? What was that? That's the end of this story. Now, continuing with my other stories here, my next one is called Abs of Steel, Lesson of Humility, My Gut Punch Reckoning. When I was in my early 20s, maybe even probably late teens, possibly, I did sit-ups quite regularly. At my peak, I could do hundreds of sit-ups, and my my abs were very strong. I become so confident in my abs, I would actually challenge people to hit me in the stomach, and I could take it. So I did this, I guess, just to show off. And what I would do is I'd stand there with my arms crossed, protecting my diaphragm, do like this so you can't protect that area. And this all worked beautifully until one particular day. And I challenged my neighbor, Perry. I challenged him. He lived across the street, off to the right a bit. And I told him to hit me as hard as he could in my stomach. And I had my arms up, crossing, protecting my diaphragm. Then Perry hit me with all that he had. But he did something that I had not prepared for. He hit me too low, just below the stomach. He wasn't quite as tall as I was. Perhaps his height was so much lower that it caused him to hit lower. Well, I took the hit, but with a oof sound coming out. I learned my lesson. I wasn't thinking that they could miss my stomach and hit too low. Thus, that ended this challenge. I had had enough. My next story is called Notable Figures. So when I went to Odessa High School, and the guy went to school with, same class I was in, is Rudy Gatlin. He had two brothers and a sister. His brothers, Larry Gatlin and Steve Gatlin, and they formed a group, Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers, and they were a country music group. In addition, I mentioned earlier on another question that I'd answered previously, our next door neighbor, their son had his name was Ronnie Smith, and he had actually recorded some songs, and I actually got on the internet and I actually found these songs that he had recorded. So he's definitely a singer. And my brothers had told me that he had practiced with Roy Orbison in our neighbor's backyard. Who would ever thought that, right? Though I was too young at the time, I wasn't aware of it, but looking up my neighbor Ronnie Smith definitely fit everything that they told me about him. And I guess Roy Orbison did play next door to where I lived. My next story, leaving the oil fields, my parents moved to Marble Falls. My dad had reached a point of thinking about retirement. He was working with Amoco Oil Company at the time. And I recall figuring out that he could actually make more money being retired than he was working. I was using the math skills that I picked up in high school, and maybe college also, right? And I started putting those math skills to work. Maybe my input helped him make that decision. I think the company gave him a choice of a gift or a party, and he chose the party. I think I remember that they were saying that most people actually picked the gift, and it was kind of rare for them to actually do a party, but he picked the party. So at some point after their retirement, my parents announced that they were moving to Marble Falls. And one of the reasons they were moving there is because the country reminded them of where they grew up. I was actually surprised and shocked. I wasn't the one leaving them, they were leaving me. I didn't know how to take it. The home that I had known all my life would soon be gone. Anyway, well, that's the end of these stories.